Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chtib and Zhang show. It is episode 19. In this episode, we are talking Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders fight. We're going to be talking about the Lakers potentially playing in the play-in tourney, and we're going to be talking about Montreal Canadiens who clinch the playoffs. And maybe we'll talk about Jake Paul versus Floyd. We'll see how much time we have.
Yeah.
But first, Eric, let's get to our official sponsor
Yeah.
of the Chtib and Zhang show, which of course is Hot Streak Fantasy. Hot Streak app. This episode is brought to you by Hot Streak Fantasy, the best in-play fantasy app on the market.
Exactly.
Pick 2 to 3 players in the NBA while you're watching your favorite teams and watch them make you some money. Hot Streak is matching your initial deposit as a bonus. So get Hot Streak Fantasy app right now. Eric, you've been dabbling a lot with this app.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell people who are just learning about Hot Streak Fantasy what the app's about?
So it's actually pretty fun. I'll be honest. Like you can see who the recent winners were. You only have to press 2 buttons. You put in the amount. You choose your 2 to 3 players, and it will calculate what you can win. And if you get it right, you'll win. And if you get it over on, like it's super simple. Like there's nothing.
What's the recent? How much have you won? What's your recent bet that you made?
Bro, I'm kind of broke right now. But
I'll
start betting. I'll start betting.
Yeah.
I've just been checking out, but. Like once I get the money going, once I start working,
of course.
I'll let you know about my earnings.
But for those who do actually have money to spend it on Hot Streak Fantasy.
Exactly.
And start now, make some money. But let's get into the episode. But as always, first, roll it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chtib and Zhang show, episode 19. I am Chtib. That is Zhang. Eric, it is episode 19. Another week. In this episode, we can't talk fantasy. Fantasy season's done for those who missed last episode for some reason. We both are losers. We'll cut it at that. Short and simple. We did not win. So let's get into the episode, Eric. Our first topic, we are covering a big boxing match that just went down. It was Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders, the Gypsy. Alvarez is 56-1-2 with 38 KOs. Saunders is 30-1. He has 14 KOs. This match ended in the 8th. It was at AT&T Texas Arlington, where the Dallas Cowboys played. There was 73,126 people who were in attendance. The largest sporting event when it comes to attendance since the pandemic.
Indoor too.
Since the pandemic hit. Eric, you actually watched this fight, right?
Yeah.
I didn't watch this fight. As we know, I'm not the big boxing UFC guy. You are. So why don't you tell the people how this went down? What'd you like? And what can you tell us?
So first of all, it was pretty easy because I don't know if you know what DAZN is. You probably heard about it.
Oh, is that like the pay-per-view?
Yeah, no, but it's not pay-per-view. It's kind of like Netflix where you pay a subscription. And
Okay.
So it's super easy to get fights. You don't have to pay like $50 for the entire fight. So you get on DAZN. I have
DAZN sponsor.
No, but I have DAZN. Like I use DAZN, so it's fine. I didn't have to pay $50 for it, so it was pretty simple. You watch, like, obviously everyone there were Canelo Alvarez fans. Like basically all 73,000 of them. It was a crazy fight. Most people had Billy Joe Saunders winning.
Yeah.
But then Canelo, he was shifty. He was doing his thing. And then he even said before, he's like, I'm going to knock him out in the 8th to 9th round, something like that. And that's what he did. Yeah. So what happened basically was they were fighting. It was a really close fight. And then Canelo caught him and with an uppercut, like right under the eye socket, like kind of broke his like some, I don't know what happened, but like.
But Billy Joe Saunders was a good sport about it. He was kind of getting the crowd going and everything.
Yeah. Billy Joe Saunders
even after his eye was swelling.
Yeah, Billy Joe Saunders before the fight, he was talking all this shit. Like he was doing his thing, and then he was promoting the fight really well. I'll be honest. And Tyson Fury was backing him up too, so it was a legit fight. Billy Joe Saunders was 30-0 before this fight, never lost, and this was his weight class too. But like he's more comfortable at super middleweight than Canelo was. But now Canelo beat him. Canelo's gonna stay in super middleweight. He only has one championship belt that he hasn't attained. So that's probably going to be his next fight against someone called Caleb Plant. I don't know if it's going to happen. It most likely will. But Canelo, this guy goes from division to division, beats them, and then dips the division, goes up. Like, bro, this guy is 56-1-2. Like, it's ridiculous.
56-1-2, 38 KOs.
And his only loss is, unfortunately, to Mayweather.
Oh, yeah.
But he was 21 when he fought. He was 21 when he fought Mayweather. It was a really close fight, too. And a lot of people believe that if they both fought in their primes, Canelo would have
would
won. But
win?
like,
Wow.
you can say that anytime. Like, you
Yeah.
can be like, oh, like you. A lot of people make excuses against Mayweather for that, right? Because
Yeah, for
everyone's
sure.
like, oh, Mayweather's fighting, like, whatever. But great fight. Billy Joe Saunders. A lot of people were like, "Oh, he's soft." Like, "Oh, he's not a real warrior." Because usually, like, you watch UFC boxing,
Oh,
people
yeah.
get punched in the eye.
They
They
take
could
it.
continue. Yeah, they continue and fight. But obviously, Billy Joe Saunders thought it was like he didn't want to lose his eye or anything.
Mhm.
You know, Jeff Whittick. You don't want to lose your eyes.
Yeah.
Eyes are really
Oh,
like
Jeff
sensitive.
Wood.
Yeah.
Uh,
So eyes are really sensitive. So he's like, the doctor, his coach were like, okay, we gotta end this fight.
yeah.
I respect the decision. A lot of people were like, oh, like he's not like, bro, like he's not a true warrior, but
Yeah.
you gotta watch out for your health.
Mm-hmm.
Boxing is a dangerous sport. Everyone's watched
sure.
Rocky, Creed, like everyone knows
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
dangerous sport.
It's definitely a dangerous. So this was an important fight.
Mhm.
Maybe for those who weren't like me up to date, why was this such a big fight? What was this? What were the stakes?
So, well, the stakes were obviously Canelo's trying to achieve greatness here, so
Yes.
he can't lose. Billy Joe Saunders never lost, so people believe this was one of his toughest challenges in recent memory. If he like a lot of people like he could have lost this fight easily if Billy Joe Saunders would have continued. This fight was really close. A lot of people had Billy Joe Saunders winning. Like, it was a really close fight.
Yeah.
Like, and there's a lot of trash talking, and it's just it was just a big fight because obviously Canelo.
Credibility.
Yeah, Canelo, like, he's trying to achieve greatness. He has so many fans. Like, you know how good it is for the sport when your superstar keeps winning. Like, if McGregor keeps winning, like, that's so good for the sport, right? And Canelo's the biggest star in the sport right now. And he's always, I think he's fought 4 times this, like, in the last year already. Like,
Wow,
you never see this from a fighter. Like,
Yeah, for
remember
sure.
Tyson Fury?
Oh, yeah.
This he's a superstar, but last time he fought was like a year ago when we went to watch him, right? So, but Canelo's always fighting. He's always fighting the best fights he can get. So that's why people love him. He doesn't talk too much trash, but he shows up, he fights, he beats people. So there's no complaints. So that's why it was a big fight.
Of course, Canelo Alvarez finished the fight in the 8th round by hitting Joe Saunders in the face. His eye swelled up, so he can continue into the 9th. Alvarez improves to 56, 1-2, like I said. And Billy Joe Saunders takes his first loss in this one versus Alvarez. As always, boxing, it's always fun to tune in to the fighting sports of the UFC and boxing, Eric. But we move to basketball.
Okay, yeah.
All right, the NBA, the hottest story probably circulating the NBA right now, of course, Eric, is the Los Angeles Lakers have actually dropped to the 7th seed position under the Blazers. We're now in the 6th. And now, Eric, as you know, the 7th seed, it makes you eligible and actually forces you to play in the in-round tourney.
Yeah.
Of course, LeBron, AD, they were injured during that stretch. The Lakers couldn't muster any wins together. And now LeBron's back from his high ankle sprain injury, but he has said to the media that he doesn't feel like he can get back to himself 100%. He doesn't think he can ever get back to himself come playoff time. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on this? If the Lakers had to play into a play-in round with a potential not 100% LeBron, what are their chances?
You didn't hear anything. But, yeah, so the thing is, Lakers won yesterday too against the Suns, who are the second seed in the West. So it's kind of tough because I know the Lakers are really good, but they're a 7th seed right now, and they're gonna have to. That means in the first round of the play-in round, they're gonna have to face the Warriors.
Yeah,
we're a really good team too, right? Like
Steph Curry.
Yeah, exactly.
MVP caliber.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a really good matchup, and I don't think LeBron's gonna come back.
He says he doesn't imagine himself coming back 100%.
Exactly. And the team doesn't want to play in the play-in round, right? Because
of course not.
If you have to play in the play-in round, that means you don't get that rest time, right?
Yeah.
Like the other teams. So
and
the best case,
there's no time for error, right?
Exactly. Absolutely no time.
Games in a row.
But the thing is, he's not playing in these games to stay out of the play-in round. And Portland have been winning. They beat them a couple days ago, so it's really hard on them. So, but the Lakers are really good. AD's carrying this team hard. As a Jazz fan, we have the first seed, so I really don't want to face the Lakers in the first.
That's a big thing too, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you have a team like Golden State and Los Angeles in a play-in tourney,
literally in the first round,
and you got to go play those guys. Like, come on, that's already a big challenge in the first round, and not even losing, just the fact that they could push a series to 7 is
Exactly.
huge coming into the
Yeah.
second
Like
round if you don't get rest.
yeah, usually you play in the first round, you expect to play like a average team, but
Yep.
you gotta face like the defending champions, and
Of
then
course.
and then the Warriors team. Like, bro,
I mean, in basketball, a first seed against an eighth seed, that series, what, 4, 5 games maybe? Usually,
yeah,
see
oh
how it
yeah,
works in the
it's
NBA.
supposed to be so like every time it's like
But you could see a lot of first round matchups right now, like go to 6, 7, or even upsets
exactly.
even.
There's some really good matchups here, like because you have the Portland's always a really tough matchup, even for the 6 seed. Like the Trailblazer Mavericks are at 5. Like these are some tough like whatever seed you get. Like the West is really loaded, but even the East this year too is really
Oh
loaded
yeah.
in their own right. But
Let's talk about you brought up the East. Let's
yeah,
actually talk about the Boston Celtics. Actually,
hmm
lose Jason Brown, or no, Jalen Brown. Sorry,
Jalen Brown exactly.
sorry, Jalen Brown. They actually lose him for the whole season. He's not
Hmm
playing in the playoffs with a wrist injury, I believe. Boston holding a 7th spot, like the Lakers. They're going to be playing in the play-in round versus the Hornets, who are missing LaMelo Ball.
Oh no, he came back. He came back.
Oh,
He
he's
came
healthy
back.
now.
Yeah, he's healthy. He's healthy.
Okay, so LaMelo Ball is healthy now. The
Yeah.
Charlotte Hornets have him back. They're the 8th seed. Boston would face him in the playing round.
Mhm.
Eric, Boston without Jalen Brown, what are their chances?
I
Still
don't
against
think
a
they'll.
team like Charlotte?
I'll be honest. I don't think they. I don't even know if they'll make the playoffs. But
Really?
they realistically might. But if they drop and they're gonna have to win, if they have to win 2 games to make the playoffs, that's when I'm like kind of iffy because the team's been kind of inconsistent. And without Jalen Brown, you lose what 26 points per game. Like that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like he's been really
averaging a
good.
career high, what, 24, I believe it was,
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah, and Kemba's not been on his
No.
hasn't been that good. So this team is gonna suffer a lot, right? Because you're only gonna have Jason Tatum
Pretty much.
and like Marcus Smart maybe and Kemba, but that's not enough, right? Because Jalen Brown's your second. He's your all star. So it's gonna be tough for the Boston Celtics for sure. I believe because remember last year they were really good, but now you lose Jalen
different
Brown.
year. Jalen Brown, they're one of their best players on the floor.
Exactly, and the Hornets are a tough matchup. I'm telling you,
especially the way Melo Ball was playing before he got injured.
And even if they have to play, imagine they have to play
Gordon
they
Hayward.
drop. They have to play the Wizards.
Oh, the
There's
way
no
the
way
Wizards are
yeah.
playing, Westbrook, Bradley
Yeah.
Beal. I
Yeah.
mean, these teams, like the Wizards, have completely just turned it on in the second half of the season.
Exactly.
And I mean, like even if they do end up beating Charlotte, and what, they finish in a 7th seed, that puts them against Brooklyn right now officially. Brooklyn is in the 2nd seed. They've dropped. They've gone on a little losing stretch here. They are now
There's no way they
second,
make it out of the first. There's
3
no way.
games back of the 76ers, who hold the first spot. Slim chance they retake the first spot. So they'd be expected, if Boston were to win the play-in round or their game and stay in the 7th seed, they'd be expected to play Brooklyn. There's no chance you think, right? There's no chance you think.
Yeah. Like
So
I'd say Boston hope this year. Like just get ready for next year.
Yeah, pretty much.
For sure. And on the note of we're talking about the Wizards 2 seconds ago. Russell Westbrook actually broke the record for the most triple doubles.
Oh yeah, with Oscar Robertson. Yeah,
over Oscar Robertson. So that's crazy.
And what an underrated player. I mean, he gets so much hate, that guy.
Oh yeah, he gets a lot of hate.
And he just goes out and becomes the #1 player with the most triple doubles. So I mean, kudos to Russell Westbrook. He deserves it. Well, I mean, the West, Eric, even if the Los Angeles Lakers were to win their game against the Warriors, they'd be facing the Suns. Very different story here than the Boston Celtics and the Brooklyn Nets. The Phoenix Suns versus the Los Angeles Lakers. That'd be a great series. But advantage Lakers?
I feel like if you had to bet on it, like I'd low-key bet on the Lakers. But man, the Suns have been looking so good.
I mean, Chris Paul is.
But I don't know if Chris Paul is enough because Lakers. Well, it depends. It really depends if LeBron comes back, right?
Yeah.
If LeBron comes back, this team's the best team in the league, probably the Lakers. But if LeBron's not there and it's only AD, this team would only be like.
They say LeBron is going to be ready Tuesday. He should return versus the Knicks. So LeBron is going to be back.
Okay.
But LeBron, I keep saying LeBron, but he thinks he's not 100%. LeBron has said he doesn't think he could get back to 100% this season because of that high ankle sprain injury. So that's what I'm saying. Like a LeBron James at not 100%, maybe he's at 80%, maybe he's at 70%. He's still a great player.
Yeah, it's great.
But is it good enough to beat
Mhm.
the Phoenix Suns or the Golden State Warriors? We'll see.
Bro,
I think he's still going to be great, but
Oh yeah.
he thinks he's not going to be his best. So we'll see what that looks like.
No, trust. LeBron, I've never doubted LeBron in the playoffs in my life. I will never doubt LeBron in the playoffs in my life. This guy, 2018, with no other superstars on
Yeah.
his team. His second best player is like George Hill or like J.R. Smith. Takes his team to the finals, like like never seen before in my life. And now he has 82, like Dennis, like I don't know, like, but it's just the matchup against the Suns with the seeding is really tough on them. But
you would
I just
think
don't want
the Lakers are so dominant, those two, but they had played together and they weren't very successful near the end of the season. Especially when before LeBron got injured, and then after he got injured, they went on that slide. And even when AD got injured. So you think, are the Lakers playing around? Are they toying around? Are the Lakers holding everything in for the playoffs? People have been saying that. Like,
no.
Do you think there's going to be it's going to be a different Lakers team coming the playoff round? I think so, right? Yeah. I feel like the team you see right now is not going to carry over.
Exactly.
I don't believe it will.
Maybe not. And you got to think about it. Do the Lakers even want the 6th seed? You get the 6th seed, you got to play the Clippers in the first round.
And the Clippers have looked really good this season.
I don't think the Lakers want to face the Clippers in the first round. That's what I'm saying. So I feel like they'd rather play the Suns in the first round, realistically, right?
But realistically, I don't think any of the players are thinking of that, especially LeBron. I know. I mean, but maybe actually.
Just think about it. You try so hard
maybe,
just
to get the
LeBron's
seed, thinking about it.
Yeah, and not make the play-in round, and then you're gonna have to place the Clippers in the first round. Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, the Clippers. I mean, we'll see. Maybe playoff B shows up. Playoff B, playoff B shows up. Maybe the Clippers not looking too good.
I'll be honest. I just want the Lakers to get the 7th seed, so like that we win our first round against like maybe like the Warriors or something, and then we play in the second round and we get to play like the Nuggets or like an easy team, and then like we can be the Nuggets. So then after we'll make it the Western Conference Finals, and then we'll face one of the good teams. That's what I'm hoping as a Utah fan. So I hope that happens because it would be really nice to make the Western Conference Final.
It would, because they can't make it past the second round usually, that team. But hey, playoff basketball is always fun, especially even though I disagree with the play-in tourney, like LeBron does, and right now he's sitting there. It's going to be fun still. I think I'm going to enjoy it, but you still got to keep in mind that if you lose 2 games from playing a 72-game season, you are out of the playoffs. I don't know. I don't like it, but I already gave my thoughts about it once. So let's move away from the NBA to the NHL, Eric.
Yeah.
Where just now the Montreal Canadiens face the Edmonton Oilers and were able to acquire a point in an overtime loss, and that officially gave them the X aside their name, which gave them the clinch into the playoffs, officially eliminating Calgary.
Ottawa, Vancouver.
Eric. Montreal is of a 4th seed, but
let's see who they have to face.
No. Let's keep a live tab on Vancouver and Winnipeg. Vancouver is leading 3-1 with 5 minutes and 27 seconds left in the third. So, though you think Montreal could finish in the 4th seed and face Toronto, there is a possibility here where they could pass the Jets. If the Jets lose tonight, then Montreal will only be a point back. And if Winnipeg loses against Toronto in their final game, and not in their final game. How many games left do the Jets have?
No, they play 58.
No, they play 56.
56?
They have 2 more. So if Montreal is able to win their games, they'll be a point ahead of the Jets, and then the Jets pretty much have to lose
Chtib.
Next 2.
They're gonna stick in the 4th seed. There's no way. Like, look, there's no way. Like, be realistic here. There's no way. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Face Vancouver tomorrow, and then they gotta face Toronto. So I don't know. It's possible, but very unlikely. The odds aren't in their favors. So Montreal realistically pinned against Toronto in the first round. Montreal and Toronto haven't had a playoff series since since forever, of course.
Yeah.
Since forever, like I said. So they'll officially face off in the first round. Winnipeg, Edmonton would be in the second round, or in their first round, but second and third seed. So Eric, Montreal right now with injuries, Weber,
Mm-hmm.
Price, Gallagher, Drouin's on personal leave. Danault has a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously missing a lot of key pieces. What are your thoughts of Montreal going up against Toronto?
Okay, but we got well, when they're gonna play in the playoffs, those pairs are most because there's a long time till the playoffs, right? There's
Yeah.
was it like they have time, right? So
Yeah.
most of the players will come back, so
Yeah, no.
and they'll
They're
be able to
expected to be
play.
fully healthy.
But the Toronto Maple Leafs, like
Mm.
they're so deep, like you can be like, oh, Montreal has one of the deepest. Toronto has the deepest team in the league. Like, bro, their fourth line is like their whole team is like ridiculous, and like I just don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know how Montreal. I'll be surprised if they win. I'll be rooting for Montreal because I don't really like the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'll be rooting for Montreal for sure. So I really hope Montreal wins. And just a side note, I just want to say I did predict that Montreal was going to be in the 4th seed at the end of the season. I got some hate out of it. People were like, "Oh, you don't know your hockey, you know your stuff," but hey, I'm just speaking my truth. Like this is what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, I had Montreal pinned second. I should have known that of course, their recent history of playing down to their competition would have happened this year. And yeah, that's exactly what happened this year. And so they find themselves 4th. We had Toronto first. I actually had Calgary. No, I had Montreal second. I had Calgary third. Calgary's not in the playoffs. And who did I have 4th? Edmonton. I had 4th. Who are second? So my prediction was 1 out of 4.
Okay.
And I had Winnipeg missing the playoffs too. There and there. But I will give my thoughts on the Leafs matchup. Montreal, they played the Leafs before a couple games against them. One game they didn't play too well. Another game they played better, but they lost. Montreal right now is missing key pieces, as we know. Gallagher and all that, Price, blah, blah, blah. Gallagher is the huge difference, of course.
For sure.
Price, hopefully if Carey Price turns into playoff Carey Price, then it will be an advantage. But right now, Jake Allen has been outplaying him the whole season, basically, and looks to be the starter. If Price is back, unless Price is back.
Mm-hmm.
The thing when I watch these games, Montreal versus Toronto, the thing I watch the most is Montreal on their own end. And Montreal against Toronto, they've given up most of their giveaways and giveaways basically in their own zone to any other team is Toronto. Like they have the most. Yeah. They do it the most against Toronto because of that relentless pressure of the Leafs, right?
Exactly.
And then you turn it over to guys like Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander, and you give them chances. So Montreal, I've watched every single game, and they haven't really fixed that. They haven't fixed that. Some games they won, yeah, basically, but the Leafs pretty much this series have had the advantage. So, and I haven't seen anything to tell me that Montreal has learned or improving to stop that or anything like that. Okay. Ducharme hasn't shown me that. And so I don't know if they go into the playoffs and they haven't, and they keep turning the puck over in their own end. They're terrible in their own end because of the Leafs pressure. I don't know how they could, especially because this is also one of the most penalized teams in the league, Montreal, and you give the Leafs a power play. I don't know how they're going to beat them. They got to stick to their game.
But you have to see it like this. Do you remember last year? How did Toronto get out? They lost to the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Columbus Blue Jackets. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they got outplayed every single game. But what they do, they just had a good goal.
I just think because of that relentless pressure. The Columbus Blue Jackets did a lot with the Leafs.
And they're also a lot more reliable defensively. Like everyone's like they don't really give turnovers on their end. Tortorella was really good with them back then. And so hey, I feel like Montreal could learn from what Columbus did last season and see how, because if they play how they played against Pittsburgh, Montreal, hey, they could win this for sure.
Well, listen, if Shea Weber comes back healthy Shea Weber from the playoff bubble, if Carey Price comes back playing Carey Price way, and Brendan Gallagher comes back basically just where he left off. Yeah, Montreal, I can see the Canadians being these guys. But if Shea Weber comes back, playing the way he was playing during the regular season, our D core looks better without that in the lineup.
Okay, yeah.
So if there's a lot of factors, a lot of X and Y factors, and Montreal is a great 5-on-5 team. Most of the season in that series, I think they've outplayed the Leafs 5-on-5, but they've given up power plays and they've lost to special teams. And so this team is deep, right? And it's just basically it comes down to matchups, how you build this team, right? How Ducharme lines up his players. Well, you see, if people watch that Edmonton game, how good Jake Evans could be, right, with his speed and his hockey IQ.
Yeah.
But is Ducharme willing to bench a guy like Eric Stahl, who hasn't really the Eric Stahl effect of like plan in Montreal hasn't really worked out, right? He hasn't looked great ever since scoring that OT winner since Edmonton. He hasn't really done much since. So he's got to make these decisions. Like Jake Evans needs to be in the lineup, right? He needs to be in the lineup.
Exactly.
And then questions like Jonathan Drouin comes back. Does that mean you have to scratch a guy like Arturi Lehkonen, right? Who's one of our best checking forwards? Corey Perry looks to have like his spot's locked, right, in the playoffs. So does that mean Armia you have to scratch now? What happens with Paul Byron? We need a guy who has his speed. Like there's so many questions. He's got to get the matchups right. I know he's a big Eric Stahl guy. He loves Eric Stahl Ducharme, and I don't know if he's willing to scratch him in the playoffs. So I don't know. I'd rather have speed on our team versus the Leafs, even versus the Oilers. Basically, I think speed is our best weapon, especially coming through the neutral zone. And Montreal's got to defend. They got to clog up the neutral zone too. Not allow many like enters into our zone that easily.
But when you talk about being penalized, I feel like in the playoffs, the refs are a little more lenient. Like you can go a little harder. So hopefully,
but they've also just taken dumb penalties.
Yeah, I remember last year. Yeah, last year was bad. Like they're like Armia, like so many players were taking dumb penalties. Like it was
how many penalties we have this season? Just basically shooting the puck out over the glass in our own end. Yeah, I mean, just stupid penalties they take.
Yeah.
That kill you. Like you're gonna give Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner like 2 chances on the power play in a game to just win it right there and end the game. We'll see.
All I'm saying is we have to get Jake on
for the Winnipeg and Edmonton.
No, for because remember the first episode we ever did was with Jake. So I feel like end off the season, get Jake back on. He's a Winnipeg guy. I'm telling you, it's gonna work for the episode. Our first guest, and then our first guest on the Hot Sauce Sports is gonna happen.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
I mean, yeah. So if Montreal, I know they can play if they play to their potential that I've seen they played at, then yeah, I could see them beating the Leafs.
Okay, if I tell you ask you right now, Toronto against Montreal, do you think they can win 4 games against?
It's just so many question marks because of all these injuries. I mean, the team right now, no. We need the players back. Okay. But the questions are those players going to come back healthy, better than they were? If Shea Weber comes back and plays like Shea Weber has been playing all season, then it's going to be shit. It's going to look like shit in our own end. Yeah. He hasn't, like, our D-core looks better without him in there, the way he was playing. So I don't know. That's why I'm saying if they all come back healthy, playing the way they should be playing, I could see the Habs beating them. It's going to be a hard series, long series, but I could see it. I could definitely see it. We have the depth. And the speed and the check-in lines. I could see it, but it's those question marks, right? So, and then we have Edmonton and Winnipeg. That should be a shootout. But we'll have an official episode for those two.
Exactly.
When we officially, when the season's over and we get to the playoffs. But let's move on to our last topic, a little fun topic. Let's just talk about the Jake Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. Yes, hold on. I got it. Don't worry. They're expected to fight in June, I believe it was, right? June or July? Or is it June?
I think it's June. Yeah, June.
So they're expected to fight in June. They had a press conference and they did their face off and they talk trash, basically making fun of Floyd's hairline because it's not looking too good. And that's why
not at all. Yeah.
Not looking too good on Floyd's part. But Floyd Mayweather actually challenged both Paul brothers on stage saying, I'll beat Logan Paul and then I could fight Jake Paul right after and beat his ass too. Exactly. Basically saying I'll take both of them on. And then Jake Paul and Floyd got into a little, face-to-face, talking trash. And then Jake Paul just grabs his hat. I got your hat.
Yeah.
And then ran away, but his security quickly grabbed him. And there was actually, his shirt was torn up. He actually had a black eye, it seemed like. So I think Floyd kind of got him on one of those. But Eric, just I think a lot of people are saying this is a disgrace to boxing. This is what I've seen. And I just find it funny. I think it's actually great for the sport because it got a lot of attention. But that'd be sick. Floyd versus both Paul brothers on the same night.
Because I'm down to watch it. This is how Floyd put it. So he was saying, "Oh, do you want me to fight like a guy who's like 20 and or like because Floyd realistically, I think he's like 43 now. He's old. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't want to like risk it too much. Like he's still no.
But I think he's also making, how much is he making again? I don't know if it was accurate, but I saw claims of 100 million.
Yeah, he says. So this is how he said it. He said, I can fight someone like an average guy and beat him and make like 20 million, right? Because I'm Floyd Mayweather. But if I fight Logan Paul, who has like almost 20 million Instagram followers, like there's no other boxer who has as much influence.
Influence on the platform. Yeah,
exactly, as Logan Paul. So he's like, if I fight him, I'll make 100 million, and I don't really see that much of risk. So I'm down to make 100 million. Floyd's always about making money. That's his slogan. Like that's what he's about. He's about making money.
Yeah.
So this is great.
Money
Like this
Mayweather.
And a lot of people hate on Floyd anyways, just because Floyd, the way he like makes his fight, he always goes for like, he thinks about the money first. Like he always gives himself an advantage if it's with the age or like anything. So people do believe like if it's Floyd, right? He's pretty controversial.
Yeah.
So, but it was really funny.
The Paul brothers are also very much controversial.
Exactly. So let's bring 100 million.
But that's what we love. That's what right. It brings attention. People are going to tune in. And you saw Jake Paul and Ben Askren. They reached the top 10 in pay-per-view.
Exactly.
Where could this fight? It could probably beat it. Jake Paul, Floyd versus Logan Paul. I see could definitely pass a Ben Askren and versus Jake Paul too. I see them.
And also, what it also does is, because if you look at Logan's like 6'2", 6'3". If you look at the face off, like Logan had like a good like 6-7 inches. Like he looked way taller. And also Floyd's got to come at like 160. I think Logan's coming at 190. So a 30-pound difference. So they're trying to like, but it's also an exhibition, right? So, but it's just like, it makes you think, right? Like who's going to win? But obviously most people will know Floyd's probably going to win. But it's going to be really interesting. They're hyping this event up. They're making it sound like it's an official fight. So, hey, you never know. And
it's going to be, I'm definitely going to tune into that one. That's going to be exciting. Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather and potentially Jake Paul. Hopefully, I hope. Maybe he gets two of them both back to back. Probably not, but that'd be fun to watch.
Because people just want to see Jake get beat up anyway. So
that's why oh my God, people are waiting, and it's crazy how long like he keeps winning in a minute and stuff like that, and people are just people are pissed, and that's what he wants, and it's working
exactly.
So, good for Jake Paul. That's exactly what he wants from people.
For sure.
Helps bring up his notoriety. So we finish on that topic. That's gonna be an exciting fight to watch there in June. But that ends this episode of the Chtib and Zhang Show, episode 19. Next week is actually our 20th episode.
20th.
Little milestone, 20th episode. So make sure to tune in for that next week.
For sure.
From us at the Chtib and Zhang Show. We'll see you guys. Thanks for tuning in once again. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.